All right. This is not going very well, but at least it came at a good breaking point. So I turned on the thing that should hopefully help things fucking get fixed or whatever. Um, yeah, it looks like it's going to the right thing. So all right, sorry about that. I know, brother. I know. Trust me, we're getting off of Restream. This is the end. I'm not having this anymore. Connor straight up needs to do a year in jail, no money saving him. A year in jail. I mean, that seems like it might even be a little bit lax. But so let me restart this because now hopefully Restream is going to be fucking working in at least a serviceable manner. I had to change the ingest and whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm getting off of Restream. This can't happen anymore. But that aside, we're on it now, so let's keep going with where we're at. So I wanted to talk about this one. This is the allegation against Conor McGregor that I believe is the first rape allegation. As I was saying before we got rudely disconnected, I don't like to do the dance around YouTube monetization, say different words kind of thing. It cheapens the conversation. It lessens the impact, the reality of it. And it's absolute bullshit that the mainstream news gets to be on YouTube using any kind of language that they want because they're legacy media and people who are covering these topics. I mean, like, look, if you're being, I mean, even if you are being a fucking like straight up troll about things or whatever, like it's words. I don't think as long as you're not inciting violence yourself, I think you should be able to say these words. They are words that have meaning and are lexicon, and they are the appropriate words to be using in the context that they're used, at least here. So let's not get things twisted here. This is the original Conor McGregor rape allegation. And as I was saying before we got disconnected, I first started Yama about 2 years ago now, I think. And at the time, I was thinking about this specific story. If you go back into the early episodes of Yama, there's an episode called Conor McGregor's Pillars of Success or something along those lines. When I was making that episode, I remember very vividly in my mind thinking, whatever happened to that rape allegation that he had in Ireland? I had, at the time, looked it up to see where it was at. All of the information at the time was older, so no new information had come out. Going back now over a year, however long it was back that episode was made. So my point in saying all of that is that this has been a situation that I've had in the back of my mind for quite a while to keep an eye out for any updates on this, because it was certainly at the time big news. This, of course, was before all of the additional sexual assault allegations that would come out against him. There being at least 2 others that I can think of off the top of my head. So, always put a pin in this one, in my own mind. Make sure that you keep an eye out for whatever comes from this, because it's a story that's worth covering. And when this happened, we're talking 2018 when this happened. The fucking Maymac fight was 2017, right? Yeah. The Maymac fight was in August of 2017. That was late 2017. So this is 2018. This is peak Conor. This is the highest Conor would be in his fame right around this time. So whether or not Conor now is worth covering or whatever really doesn't matter, because this is an allegation that was happening when he was at the absolute peak of his stardom. So I'm covering this story based on the reporting. I'm covering this story based on the reporting of Daily Mail, which is a publication out of the UK. I'm doing that for a specific reason. 2 reasons, basically. One is to highlight how absolutely atrocious the viewing experience is when it comes to reading news online in general. Would you look at the absolute state of this website? It is, I mean, this looks like a virus hit this website. Ad, sidebar ad, huge. Ad sidebar over here, huge. Ad over here, huge. This is an advertisement. Everything on here is ads. This is so atrocious to look at. That's number one. That's just really more of a little aside. See if I can actually get any of these to go away. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, and that's another thing. You click on something and then you go to a different article. Anyway, all right. The other reason I wanted to cover this from the Daily Mail coverage, the reason that I wanted to use the Daily Mail coverage for this article, Jesus Christ, there you go, another fucking aspect of it. It's random sound playing out of nowhere. It's atrocious, absolutely atrocious. The other reason I wanted to use the Daily Mail coverage of this story is because the Daily Mail is known as a somewhat tabloid publication in the journalism world. As far as I know a lot of people don't consider it high-level journalistic output, even though they themselves would tout themselves as such. But I say that because I wanted to find an article that was going to cover this, not salaciously for the purpose of crudeness or extremity, but because I wanted to find an article that was going to give as many details as possible in a non-glossed over way. So I figured that the rag that is Daily Mail, and let's not get things twisted over here. This is absolutely a fucking schlocky, muckraking, yellow journalistic outlet. But I wanted to use this one because I figured that they would not shy away from some of the more gritty details of what is alleged here. So let's read through some of this. Conor McGregor allegedly pinned down woman, used an arm lock, and raped her during cocaine session at Dublin hotel as MMA star. Let's start that over. Conor McGregor allegedly pinned down woman, used an arm lock, and raped her during cocaine session at Dublin hotel as MMA star faces court over alleged sexual assault in 2018. McGregor was accused of sexually assaulting a woman at a Dublin hotel in 2018. In 2021, prosecutors declined to prosecute McGregor for the alleged assault. That's an interesting point. As a result, a civil claim for damages was launched in the High Court. So, I guess that is the totality of the timeline, at least. Hey, Anakin, sorry about the stream issues, my guy. It should be somewhat okay for now. We're getting away from Restream, so this is not going to be forever. Thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate you guys for hanging in there. This is going to get fixed. The contract with Restream ends in February. I promise you that we're going to get it fixed before then, so bear with me. So anyway, the timeline looks like 2018, Conor perpetrates this abuse. 2021, the prosecutors decide to not prosecute for whatever reason. Maybe they'll get into that in the article. I would assume it would be because of a lack of evidence. These kinds of things are very tough. We talked about this in the context of the Alex Pereira allegations. These things are very he said, she said. And to that same end, I don't know if she can expect anything to come out of the civil claims that she's launching here, this accuser. But the timeline goes that, 2018 it happened, 2021 it is declined to be prosecuted, 2024, where we are now, new court hearings are opened up, and apparently it's going to the highest court in Ireland. Welcome back, Beeb. We're just getting into this Conor McGregor high court situation with the rape allegations that took place in 2018. So the article starts here. What you also missed is my excoriation of the layout and journalistic standards of the UK's Daily Mail, because if you're looking at what I'm looking at, you can barely tell where the article is in this schlock mess of fucking advertising. This is some of the most atrocious, blatant, disgusting layout abuse I've ever seen in my life. So, anyway, the reason that I'm using this specific coverage is because the Daily Mail is trash journalism, as far as I can tell, from what I've heard. They would probably beg to differ, but I have heard from multiple sources that the Daily Mail is a rag in the UK. So I'm using that because generally a publication like that will have the grittier details of a situation like this one. So let's get into it. Irish mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor raped a woman in a Dublin hotel, the city's high court has been told. Nikita Lehman is claiming civil damages against Mr. McGregor and another man, alleging she was sexually assaulted in 2018. They're just out there naming this person. I mean, honestly, I might have not read that name if I had known that she was the one that was the potential victim in here. Damn, why are they just... Oh, okay, actually, I just read ahead a little bit here. I guess she doesn't have a right to anonymity based on their laws. That's pretty crazy. It looks like just a bunch of pop-up ads. Yeah, exactly. It's atrocious. Actually, absolutely atrocious. And they have the nerve to flag you for using an ad blocker. When I was getting the stream prepped, they won't let you ad block this mess of advertisements. It's ridiculous. So this Nikita Lehman is the alleged victim and does not have a right to anonymity, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I don't mean to be continuing to bring her up, but her name is obviously out there if it's in this article. So that's kind of crazy. And good on her for... look, if the allegations are true, then good on her for being brave enough to come forward and have her name associated with it, because these situations, as I said in the Alex Pereira video and coverage of that whole fiasco, these are not good for anyone. These allegations are not good in any respect. Whether or not it's terrible for the person who was the victim or the person who is being made to be a victim by having a false allegation levied against them, either way, these are terrible all around. And if more people understood how bad this is from both sides of the equation, I think it would be a lot... I think it would be a better place in general as a human being from all sides of the potential coin here. Why wait 6 years? Well, what happened, Beeb, was that she actually didn't wait that long. She had presented this information in 2018. Apparently, she did everything right, from what I'm understanding. I mean, we'll get a little bit farther into the article, but this was at the height of Conor's popularity. This is right after the Maymack fight. She went to the police, I believe, and it was tied up in court for a long time, a couple of years, and in 2021, the prosecutors decided not to hear the case. So maybe they'll say why that is. Let's keep going. But the court heard on Tuesday Mr. McGregor's lawyers say Miss such and such, who has no automatic right to anonymity, is attempting extortion. Of course, that is the other side of the coin in these cases. And again, I as much as that is a potential narrative for it to be true, I mean, for that to be true, it's not good. It's just not good. It's like, I wish that more people who would use that kind of tactic would realize what they're doing to their own reputation by if they make false allegations. So that's the first part. The second part is, if it is true, then why? I mean, Conor is just a legitimate rapist walking the streets, and now he's had 3 alleged instances that I can think of off the top of my head. There may be more. So there is no good outcome from this except for Conor not having done it, and that's about as good as you can get. Because if this person has no retribution for her saying something false, then there's no good that can come from that. You just have this person attempting extortion out there on the streets, as the attorneys frame it. Or you have, a legitimate rapist walking the streets. So either way, it creates a terrible situation. Off topic, you want to say thank you for streaming today. Marks the 1 month. Got you. Yeah, bro. No, hey, not a problem, my man. I apologize for the stream going out. Silly me to think that the service that I'm paying for would actually work correctly. But I appreciate you being here, and I'm glad that I could be helpful as a distraction to you, man. So let's see here. The fighter nicknamed Notorious was in court to hear Justice Alexander Owens tell the jury it is alleged Miss So-and-so was sexually assaulted by Mr. McGregor and James Lawrence on December 9th. Who is James Lawrence? I certainly don't think it's the Canadian triathlete. James Lawrence, Ireland. Is he one of the gangster guys that Conor's associated with? I watched a whole video. Again, ITP MMA is one of the best channels on YouTube for interesting MMA coverage. So I would recommend subscribing to ITP MMA Live here on YouTube. But he had covered some of the shady mafioso adjacent ties that Conor McGregor has in the country of Ireland, where he is from. I don't know if this Lawrence individual is one of those people, but it certainly could be. So I don't know. We'd have to go back and take a look at some of the information there. But either way, I guess James Lawrence is some sort of associate of Conor's. And it happened on December 9th of that year. And it looks like the fucking page crashed because of all these goddamn ads. That is ridiculous. Hey, Yama is also one of the best YouTube channels for MMA coverage. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Bro, yeah, this page legitimately fucking crashed. This is pathetic. Are you going to work? You going to come back? All right, well, fuck the Daily Mail then, I guess. This stream is going off the goddamn rails. Did it just crash my entire fucking browser? All right. Anyway, let's get somewhere else going. I wanted to cover it from there, but there are plenty of sources covering this, so we'll get it from somewhere else overseas. How about The Guardian? The Guardian's a little bit more of a reputable source in the UK. All right, so let's start from the beginning of the Guardian article now. I had the stream went so differently in my mind. You know, it's supposed to be a very serious subject stream. You know, we're going to cover it. Very weighty topics here. Cool. I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for hanging in with me, Beeb. I appreciate it very much. The Irish mixed martial arts fighter Conor McGregor raped a woman in a Dublin hotel, the city's high court has been told. Such and such is claiming civil damages against McGregor and another man, alleging she was sexually assaulted in 2018. Based on the Daily Mail article, we know that that person's name is James Lawrence. But the court heard on Tuesday McGregor's lawyers say that so-and-so, who has no automatic right to anonymity, is attempting extortion. The fighter, nicknamed Notorious, was in court to hear Justice Alexander tell the jury, Justice Alexander Owens, tell the jury it is alleged that this person was sexually assaulted by McGregor and James Lawrence on the 9th of December. The judge said it was alleged that the pair had, in effect, raped her. So what does that mean exactly, in effect, raped her? I want to hear the details of this. I wonder if this stuff is public information. Probably not. I would think that there would be, like, video footage. Well, actually, we'll take a look on YouTube real quick before we move on from this to see if there's any actual video footage out there of any of this. But I would think that these are probably closed trials because it's civil. But I don't know what the laws in Ireland are for that. The court was told McGregor collected this person, who is a hairdresser in Dublin, and her friend after a Christmas party on the 8th of December. That would be 2018. So just over a year after the Maymac fight. This is height, peak Conor McGregor popularity and influence, I would say. John Gordon SC, I guess that's this lady's attorney, said that she and McGregor were known to each other as they were in the same age group, from the same area, and had mutual friends, and had been in contact at various times through social media. So Conor is sliding in the DMs. Of course, his girlfriend / fiance now, always in the picture, even back then. So Conor has a long and storied history of doing whatever the fuck he wants. So, that in and of itself, somewhat suspect, depending on where your moral compass lies, where your personal feeling is on fidelity in a relationship. But regardless, Conor stepping out on the lady to possibly commit a heinous act here. At the time, she lived in Dublin. Jesus Christ. At the time, she lived in the Dublin suburb of Drimnagh, I think is how you pronounce that, with her partner and 7-year-old daughter. Oh, geez. So this chick had, a partner. I don't know if that's a male or female partner, but I'm assuming it's a male if she has a daughter. Again, might not be, but so she had a significant other and a daughter. So this is not just necessarily some like crazy party girl, although it could be. I'm not saying that necessarily makes her not a party girl, but details are emerging here that, either way, God, that's awful for her and for this family that she has, if this is true. So anyway, she, lived in that part of Dublin. She has a partner. She has a 7-year-old at the time. She had been out with friends on the night of the alleged incident. Gordon said McGregor was enormously famous and was considered a hero around Drimnagh. I think that is a very good point to bring up. As I said, this is directly after the Maymac fight, or, just over a year afterwards. So, he's at his absolute highest in the sport at the time. Of course he would be considered a hero. Of course he's mega, ultra famous in the country of Ireland. So, he claimed that his client was no angel. Oh, okay, so perhaps she may be a little bit more of a party girl than originally expected. He claimed that his client was no angel and doesn't pretend to be an angel. On the night, she had been drinking and had taken some cocaine. How much is some? Where's the compass on that one? I wonder. The court also heard that she suffered from depression and had been on antidepressants. All right, well, that is besides the point. But, I mean, unless they're saying that it was a repercussion from the abuse. But either way, I mean, that does not play a factor into whether or not she was raped necessarily. So the plot thickens a little bit here. She's out on the town. She's got a partner and a daughter. She's drinking. She's doing cocaine with Conor McGregor. Of course, we know now that is a very dangerous thing to do no matter who you are. I mean, shit, you can be an Italian DJ and still catch a stray. And when Conor throws a stray, it's not verbal, man. Conor will punch you in the face for no fucking reason. So, she's no angel. Does not pretend to be an angel. But she's out. She's doing all kinds of things with Conor. The court was told that later on in the night, this person and two of her friends returned to her salon where they continued to party. And at some point, she contacted McGregor. Oh, she reached out to him. Even more interesting. He collected her and her friend in his car, and this person understood they were being taken to another party. So this chick is party hopping over here. She's at her salon party, and she was at a Christmas party. She's going out of her way to contact him, and now she is being whisked away with a friend of hers, Conor, and this other gentleman. So 4 people total, it sounds like. Again, I have to be pseudo detective over here the same way that I was in the Alex Pereira situation, because it's like all of the details are not fully known, and even the details that we get have to be sort of pieced together based on the reporting that we get. So take it for what it is. But that's what the timeline as of right now. She's out. She's partying. She's at one party. She's partying at her salon. She's going to go to another party. This chick is hopping all over the place. McGregor sat in the back seat with the two women. McGregor sat in the back seat with the 2 women while his driver took them around housing estates and beeped the horn. Why did they do that? It's an odd thing to do. Was it literally like Conor just doing like a little mini parade? Like, hey, I got these 2 chicks. He's like out the sunroof. What the fuck? That's just a weird thing to do. But okay. They later went to the home of Lawrence, who joined them in the car. Okay, so they're not all 4 at that time. So they're having a little joyride around, what was it called? Drimnaw? Drimnaw, that sounds like a location out of Game of Thrones. But they're in the car. Conor's with 2 chicks. They're all getting crazy. They're getting wasted. Conor's driver is driving. They're rolling around, honking at people, I guess is the best way to put it. And then this Lawrence person joins later. The court was told that McGregor had a bag of cocaine, which was shared between them. Then the woman, McGregor, his security team, and others went to a penthouse suite in the Beacon Hotel in Dublin. This is how I remember this. The hotel incident is what I had it in my mind as. Back in the day, back when I was talking about with the Yama episode. Because I remember distinctly thinking, whatever happened with the hotel incident? So they go to this hotel. There's cocaine involved. These ladies, Conor's security team, and this Lawrence individual. The court was told that they were all drinking and laughing. So they're having a good time at this point. At one point, McGregor allegedly went into a bathroom and beckoned this lady, to join him. The court was told that McGregor came on to her, but she did not want to have sexual intercourse with him as she was on her period. Okay. So, yeah, Conor on cocaine, no way. Yeah, good point. Imagine my shock. So, Conor calls her into the bathroom. He's trying to initiate some sexual activity with her. She doesn't want to because she is on her period. based on what she's saying to the court here. Gordon told the court that she alleged that McGregor pinned her down on the bed and that she was no physical match for him. So they go from the bathroom into the bedroom. He pins her down on the bed, and she was unable to get him off, understandably so. She will tell you that she was nervous, that she tried to push him off of her, but she was completely unable to do so, he added. Okay, so, again, the timeline. At this point in the story, they're in the Beacon Hotel. They are partying in this hotel room. I mean, the way that they're making it sound, there was security involved. Was security outside of the room? Or was everyone... This is, when it comes to these situations, again, this is also another reason why this is so fascinating, is because this is very reminiscent of the Alex Pereira allegations. Those allegations also happened in a hotel. Those allegations also had multiple people involved at the time. And in fact, it's almost one-to-one, at least based on some of the facts here. Aside from the security aspect of it, Alex Pereira had his translator friend. The alleged victim had her friend. In this case, Conor has this Lawrence individual. This accuser has herself and her friend. Hotels, alleged abuse. It's an interesting pattern. I'm not saying that there's any relation, of course, but just something interesting to note. Gordon told the court that she alleged that McGregor pinned her down. Oh, we already read that. Okay. You will see pictures of her hands and wrists, which are black and blue. You will see that her left breast has a bloodied scratch. The scratch is there because she was wearing a watch and had her hands up to protect herself. She was pressed down on, and the watch scarred her breast. So there are, I mean, unlike the Alex Pereira allegations, where the accuser did not go to the authorities, in this case, it seems that she did, because there are pictures of all of this, I would think, unless she took all of these pictures herself. But if there was a criminal allegation made that the court chose not to acknowledge, not to prosecute, based on what the earlier part of the article had said, then perhaps this woman did the right thing. So if there is proof here, she's got scars on her wrists, she's black and blue, she's got a scratch on her breast that's bloodied. This is a little bit more substantial, perhaps, than the Alex Pereira situation. Perhaps. So anyway, that's where we're at this point. Victrola MMA. Girl had surgery because she had a tampon in and it got pushed up in. Oh, now that is an interesting piece of information. Shout out to Victrola MMA. Thank you very much for joining and for imparting that. Perhaps that will be part of the story going forward here. In fact, actually looking down at the bottom of the screen, I do believe that comes up. So let's press on through this article, but thank you for adding that, because that is certainly something that adds a lot of weight to this allegation. And of course, based on what we had just read previously, she's saying that she was on her period, and that's one of the reasons that she did not want to have the intercourse. All right. And yeah, look, Beeb and anybody else who's watching, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your hanging with me on this one, but do be aware that this is dark subject matter. The subject matter that we covered with Rose Namajunas earlier is dark. This whole stream is about dark shit. So just be prepared, All right, let's keep going here. So we talked about the scarring that she had on her chest and the bruising that she had. Mr. McGregor then flips her over and puts her arm up in a lock and draws her wrist up by the neck. She can't breathe, and he does it again. He does what again? Oh, I guess just forced her down. Okay, so he's putting her in a, kind of a cross lock, a self seatbelt situation, using some of that Conor McGregor wrestling. Lol. Sorry for the joke. Inappropriate. By the third time he does it, she gives up. She can't resist it anymore. In the course of this, he says, "Now you know what it's like to be in the octagon when I went down 3 times." Yikes, that's a weird thing to say. That's just a weird, that's a weird detail, and something that a coked out Conor McGregor might certainly. I wouldn't think that it would be out of the realm of understanding or possibility that he might say something fucking weird like that. But that's just, I don't know. That kind of made my skin crawl a little bit reading that. She was at this point completely terrified. She subjected herself to what was about to happen, which was a violent and vicious assault. So 3 times she goes, she's locked up by McGregor. Sorry, brother. 3 times she's locked up by McGregor. The 3rd time she finally relents. The joke is about Conor, not about her, but anyway. It is alleged later that she had sex with Lawrence, but Gordon said she had no recollection of such an event ever happening. So, how is she recalling that then? Is maybe her friend is telling her that? Again, there are details in the story that are unknown based on this reporting. Like, where was the friend at all of this happening, as all of this was happening at the time? Like, where was the friend in all of this? Yeah. So I guess she's saying that Conor pinned her down, to the point that she couldn't resist. She is assaulted by him. I guess either she blacks out, they had been partying pretty hard. I guess there's, sense is certainly made if that's the case there, that she had just blacked out and also had intercourse with this Lawrence person. If she doesn't recall it, I don't know how that can be alleged, but again, the details are a little bit hazy here. This person later went home and visited her mother, who called 999. Okay, so there you go. I mean, you're asking about why the allegations are just coming out. Well, they weren't. She did the right thing. Her mother did the right thing. She went home. Her mother called the authorities. 999, of course, is the equivalent of 911 in the United States, in Europe. So the police were called. She was taken to the hospital. The court was told that she was shaking and in pain while being transferred to the hospital. So, really, this person did everything correct. This could legitimately be a failure of the Irish justice system here. Yikes. Cocaine will not make you black out. You Googled it. Cocaine has made Victrola blackout. Okay. It gets cut with different shit. I mean, there is something to be said with that. I would suspect that Conor probably has access to some pretty decent quality product, but you never know. And plus, I mean, a lot of times, again, from what I have heard, of course, when you're doing that drug, you're often pairing it with copious amounts of alcohol, because cocaine and alcohol are like best friends. And one of the reasons that people do cocaine, aside from its effects, is that it helps you stay up to drink longer. So if you're downing large quantities of hard liquor in addition to cocaine, then basically, from what I understand at least, you eventually just hit a wall. So like, you black out just by your body giving out on you, essentially. Failure of her takedown defense. All right. I guess I kind of opened the door for that one. Let's be respectful here. Because honestly, I mean, really, what we're all joking aside, I mean, I really don't want to be making light of any of this very, very atrocious stuff. But, joking aside, this person, as I had mentioned, her and her mother did the right thing. She was, in theory, at least assaulted. They called 999 immediately. She went to the hospital. This sounds to me like a miscarriage of justice here. At least at the very least, why was this not heard in criminal court to begin with? Because from what we saw in the Daily Mail, bullshit website as it may be, the court declined to hear the original charges, to take the case. So my question is, why? If everything was done correctly, this would appear to be a blatant miscarriage of justice in that regard. I'm not even saying that the allegations are true, but whether they are true or not, it should go to fucking trial. If there is that much evidence, if this woman, that is because this is the criticism that everyone says. Well, why didn't you go to the police? Why are the allegations just coming out now? Why are there not criminal allegations? Well, this is your answer. This person did all of those things, and apparently the court didn't acknowledge it. The court didn't believe it. So my question is, why? That would seem to be very disgusting. Again, we're talking about a lot of dark shit today. This is the same girl that Conor's gangster friends threatened. Probably. I would think so. I think they broke windows on her house and stuff. Yeah, that's what I had mentioned earlier. I'm not 100% sure if this Lawrence individual, was it James Lawrence? I'm not 100% aware if this person is one of his gangster associates, but I had mentioned, and shout out to him because I reference the channel all the time. It's one of my absolute favorites on YouTube. ITP MMA Live did an entire video breakdown of Conor's connections to the gang culture of Ireland. And if they were threatening this person, I'm not surprised in the slightest. Again, you got to also keep in context, this is Conor at his absolute highest of fame, power, and influence. Not that he doesn't already, or not that he doesn't still have those things. But, I mean, between the fact that he is a god in the country of Ireland at the time, connected to the underworld to an extent, at least allegedly, and he now has, based on the Mayweather fight that happened just over a year prior to this, has more money than God. I mean, I would think that this person, look, again, the joking was callous. This person should be elevated as very brave for doing what she did, if this is true. If it's true. Now, of course, you can say the other side of it is that it is still he said, she said. It is potentially a situation where perhaps they were having consensual sex and it just got very rough. That's certainly a possibility. But she is doing the correct things. She's going to the authorities. They're conducting what I would assume is the equivalent of a rape kit. However, that plays itself out in that region. I don't know what the protocol is, but she immediately got help. She immediately went to the authorities. She raised these concerns. This is the exact stuff that we were talking about. This is the exact sequence that the Alex Pereira abuse alleger should have done herself. So, or what the retort is to it anyway. So, my point with all of this is that, this is why victims don't come forward more often, and when they do, they receive such backlash. There is no good that comes out of these situations when there is this level of violence and uncertainty, power dynamics, all of these things. Nothing good ever comes out of it. But at least in this case, this person in theory, did what you're supposed to do when something like this happens. So it's very unfortunate to see that perhaps she's dealing with gangsters threatening her. Perhaps she's dealing with an entire online culture of Conor McGregor glazers calling her a liar. Perhaps. Just saying. Conor's a gangster, but he's no West Coast gangster. Hey, man. California love, right? All right. They get backlash because of hoes like that OnlyFans model that made all that BS up about Peloton. Oh, Victrola, I don't know if you're currently subbed to the channel or not, or how long you've been watching this channel, but if you're interested, I did an entire video breakdown on that situation, so you can watch that and draw your own conclusions, but my entire thoughts on that situation are also on the channel in video form, so you can go to the videos and see what I thought about all of that and where my head was at with that. But I mean, eerily similar, except the big difference is that this person did the right thing as far as the post, the aftermath. Oh, well, thank you. I much appreciate that. Thank you very much. I apologize that I did not recognize the name immediately. Thanks for coming by the chat then. Appreciate you being around, man. So anyway, let's keep going on here. All right. So Gordon said, in the face of this, McGregor will tell you that this was a consensual encounter, right? That's what we were saying, that it was, that is the common, this narrative is as common as it gets. I mean, this is as textbook, he said, she said, as it gets. But I think that the evidence of the roughness of it, which, of course they're going to reference here, is a little bit more so on one side. And it would definitely have taken a little bit of forethought on this chick's account, on her part, to say, okay, not only am I going to have consensual sex with this person, but I'm going to make it rough enough that I get roughed up so that it looks like a rape had occurred. Anyway, in the face of this, Mr. McGregor will tell you that this was a consensual encounter, that they were just having fun and a bit of rough sex. That's his answer. What did I say about common sense? Don't be fooled into leaving it behind in this courtroom. What he is saying is that she gave him a license to carry out what has to have been a brutal assault on her body. So, all right. Yeah, there you go. He told the court he was working at the emergency... Oh, wait, sorry, I skipped a part there. The court also heard from Dr. Daniel Keene, who works as a gynecologist as well as a forensic examiner in sexual assault cases. So there you go. Here's your rape kit. He told the court he was working at the emergency department at the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin, where this person was brought by ambulance. Keene said she was very upset and was shaking and crying. He told the court how they had to get a blanket for her to sit on because of the pain she was in. So obviously she was in pain. She's crying. This is all very bad. In his report, he said that this woman had told him that morning that the alleged attacker had her by the neck and that he had stopped her from breathing, so he was choking her as well. He told the court that she had claimed she did not fight him anymore and thought he was going to kill her. I mean, Conor McGregor on a large amount of cocaine paired with alcohol in a hotel room wanting sex does sound like it could be somewhat dangerous. I'm just saying it is potentially dangerous. Conor McGregor, outside of those circumstances, sober, is dangerous. Add all of those factors in, it becomes a completely different story. Keene detailed extensive bruises across this woman's body, including her face, arms, fingers, forearms, knuckles, legs, lower back, and buttocks. Okay, that's a lot of damage for it just to be some run-of-the-mill rough sex. I mean, sounds pretty extensive to me. She also had a 9-centimeter scratch on her breast, as we mentioned earlier there. He also stated that she was worried about a tampon. This is the tampon thing that Victrola had mentioned. She was worried about a tampon she had been wearing on the night. He explained how he had to use forceps to remove the tampon, which had been wedged inside. I would think, look, man, I would think that right there, if there is a smoking gun in all of this, because look, you can allege sexual assault and that, okay, let me back up. You can allege that all of the large amount, the various injuries that this woman has as far as her bruising goes across the body. Again, let's go over this list one more time of where this extensive bruising took place. She had bruising on her face. She had bruising on her arms, fingers, forearms, knuckles, legs, lower back, and buttocks. That's all in addition to a scratch that she had on her breast. So let's say that all of that was from some very rough consensual sex. What woman in their right mind goes into a consensual sexual encounter, a consensual sexual encounter with a tampon in and neglects to take it out during sex as rough as this? Yeah, Victrola's exactly echoing my statement here. See, that shit's crazy. How else does that happen? Yeah, exactly. This is why I wanted to shed some light on this. You know, because I remember this story happening and wanting to know the details. I did not know the details. Now I know them, and this is very bad. It's very bad. He told the court that he had carried out hundreds of examinations on women and said that the extent of the bruising on this woman was quite unusual. I mean, brother, look, I don't want to tell the doctor how to do his job, but quite unusual might be a little bit too tame for what you're looking at. You know, I know that the Europeans have a little bit more of a polite society, but with the amount of damage that this woman's body had taken, perhaps you could be a little bit more forceful in your assessment as a doctor, because I would think that would go a long way. When you see a tampon wedged inside of the woman's body to the point that you have to use a medical instrument to extract it, perhaps that is something that you should consider in what you're telling to the high court. Maybe that should have been expressed a little bit more emphatically during the initial assessment. Hey, Jesus Christ. Okay. The defense claimed that, the defense claimed in the evidence booklet that this woman had several opportunities to complain to people about how she was being treated, but did not. That's, I mean, part of why, I like, the circumstances are always going to be he said, she said in this situation, unless there are concrete other corroborations. So if she did have the opportunity to extract herself from the situation, then, I mean, that's at least part of it, but no, it's exactly what I said in the Alex Pereira video. No victim of sexual assault is asking for it. So if this person was in a situation that was non-consensual, it doesn't matter if she could have extracted herself from it. Should she have? Probably. But she's in a party. She's thinking everything's okay. You know that Conor is a hair trigger. Things could have changed on the fucking, the turn of a dime or whatever, the drop of a dime. Turned on a dime. Jesus Christ. Didn't get that one right. 2 swings and 2 misses. Things could have changed very rapidly is what I'm trying to say. All of a sudden everything's one way. I referenced Conor punching the Italian DJ earlier. That's exactly what happened in that situation. Conor is in a club. Everything seems like it's going okay. All of a sudden, he's punching this DJ in the face. This is 10,000 times worse than what happened to that other chick. Yeah, no, most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, the one thing with the other chick is that she did wait so long to make her allegations that, it's hard to get a full read on everything. So, I was pretty respectful about that. This seems to be a much more clear-cut case, though. All right, let's just keep going here. We're getting to the end of this thing. Gordon said his client was being called a gold digger and a fraud, adding brave. But where is the bravery in this? Bravery ultimately sits with my client because she pursued her mission for vindication and compensation to which she is entitled, and for these defendants to be breezily and cheekily disposed of her, or to breezily and cheekily dispose of her claim is something you will consider in due course. Okay. I mean, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. There certainly are levels to these allegations, and this is most definitely of a higher caliber. I agree. But yeah, I mean, look, this woman did everything right, it seems like. And for it not to go to she was trying for it to go to a criminal prosecution. The fact that the court refused to hear this seems like a grave miscarriage of justice. Kind of makes you wonder how just the court system is in Ireland, knowing that there are mafia ties in all of this. Just saying. Just putting that out there. Earlier, the jury was sworn in at the High Court and told that they were judges of fact as to what happened and would have to draw a conclusion, and it would be based on their decision. So this is all off of jury decision. The action is expected to last around 2 weeks. So there you go. Wild how little MMA media is talking about any of this. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And that's why I'm talking about it. Because I have had this in the back of my mind, drilling a hole in my brain since this allegation came out. So when I heard this, when it was posted, again, shout out to Chase Parton, keeping me up to date on all of these, elements of MMA culture that otherwise are slipping through the cracks. Had to make sure I got on stream to talk about it. So what do I think about all of this, I guess, in the end? It does seem like something really bad happened here. It does seem like this person tried to get justice. It does seem like justice was not carried out here, and it's very unfortunate that this person is having to go to civil court for this. Power, influence, playing a big factor in this, perhaps. Again, it might be a little bit of a scandalous claim, but I very much call into question, I very much wonder about a court system in Ireland that is not willing to hear the details of a case like this. How is that okay? Seems very odd to me. Why isn't Mr. Journalist and virtuous moral wonder Ariel Helwani talking about it? Yeah. I mean, perhaps more people will be talking about it in due time, but again, money, power, and influence sweep these things right under the rug. I would recommend watching it's a little bit long, so it's a time commitment, but if you have the time and are interested, there's a channel called Dreading here on YouTube. Dreading covers true crime. Dreading did a video about the R. Kelly allegations and, things that have been proven to be true at this point. And there is a section in there talking about how these powerful people are able to sweep these things under the rug. basically any time that a story is going to go to print, it gets swept under the rug. The publishers basically squash the story. So if I'm a journalist, I've got a story about this. I'll go to my publisher. You know, journalists have to go through their own chain of command to get things published. They'll go to the publisher, say, here's the story. I've done all of my research, yada, yada, yada. During the fact-checking and due diligence before a publication will run a story, they will be contacted by, like, the example that he was using in context here was Bill Cosby. So every time that a Bill Cosby allegation was going to be run by a mainstream news outlet, the story would go through due diligence. The outlet would reach out to Cosby for comment. Cosby's team would come back threatening legal action and then offering in the same turn to give them exclusive access to Cosby for more favorable coverage. So basically, you know, again, in this hypothetical here, I'm the journalist. I have the story. I go to my publisher, say, hey, I want to publish this. I've done all of my research. Publisher goes to Cosby's camp, or let's say in this case, Conor. Goes to Conor's camp, says, hey, we've got this story. We're going to run it. Conor's camp comes back and says, A, we'll sue you if you run it. B, if you don't run it, we'll give you an interview with Conor right before his next fight. How does that sound? That's at least, again, hypothetical scenario. I'm not saying that that's what happened in this exact case, but that could have been what happened. So, gonna go beat your friend's ass in Undisputed. Hey, Victrola, thank you very much for stopping by. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for adding the context that you did. So, appreciate you for that. And I mean, really, honestly, that's kind of where this part of the story ends. That's where we're at right now. I will update my coverage on this. Might do like an omnibus video about all of this going forward, depending on how this court case plays out. And we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I hope that the facts come out in this case, is all that I can say at this point. Of course, I was not there. I don't know the reality of the situation. I'm going off of what the reporting is. The reporting does not make it sound very good for Conor. I hope justice is finally served. That's where we'll leave this one for today. All right. So, finally, for tonight's stream, since we have been going for a while, all fucking bullshit aside, I have this brief 8-minute video here about it. I know we were talking about how there's not much coverage of the Conor thing. This is a story that I have not heard covered anywhere aside from this video. So shout out to MMA Focus, who I have referenced and used as a source in the past. The dude who runs MMA Focus seems like a really sharp guy and does some really good videos. And I have not heard this story being covered anywhere else. So this is the story of, I guess we're going to have to hear how the name is pronounced, but Andrzej Kościelski is how I'll go with until we hear it pronounced by this by MMA Focus. So this is the story of Coach Andrzej Kościelski, who has been arrested for murder. This is the coach of Marcin Tybura and Mikhailo Leszczuk. So a known and notable coach in, I believe, Poland. We'll get all the details from the video here, but I wanted to just play through this and kind of react to it a little bit because as we were talking about with the Conor stuff, I have not heard this referenced or mentioned anywhere else. So I was actually planning on doing a little bit of a video myself on this subject, but I couldn't find any other coverage of it besides this video. So let me take a little sip here, take a puff, and we will get into this video. All right. So, The video is UFC coach arrested for murder. The channel is MMA Focus. This was published 2 weeks ago. Since this video has been published, I have not seen any coverage of this story, and any reference to it that I was able to find online is in its native language, which I believe is Polish in this case. So, short of going through a lot of Google Translate to try to glean the information myself, I thought let's just watch this video and we'll get the facts as reported by MMA Focus. So here we go.
I've got a crazy story for you today, guys. So, Polish UFC coach Andrzej
Well, after these words from our commercial sponsor here,
Kościelski has been for you.
All right,
I've got a crazy story for you today, guys. So, Polish UFC coach Andrzej Kościelski has been arrested for allegedly taking somebody's life. Now, we're going to look at the police report in a second and look at some footage. But first, I just want to explain who this guy is and what has happened in the story behind it.
All right, so Andrzej Kościelski, I guess is the way that you pronounce it. And yeah, he has been arrested for murder, and we're going to go over the police report here and some background, go over the police report and some background on this person.
So this is Andrzej Kościelski. He is 50 years old and is a very famous coach in the UFC. He's coached to a lot of Polish UFC fighters, including Marcin Tybura and a lot of other fighters as well.
He's jacked for 50. Good Lord, look at this guy. You know, I don't want to allege anything out of pocket, but perhaps some juice going on. Seems like he has a good hairline for 50 as well. Just putting these facts out there.
But recently, he was arrested because 22 years ago, he was a bouncer at a nightclub in Poland. And allegedly what happened is there was a man in the club where he was working, and this man lost his life. And apparently the police are accusing this guy of committing that murder and taking that man's life. So the Polish news have reported that renowned MMA trainer suspected in Blue Note murder. And then it's quoted from a witness that says his face looked like a steamroller had gone through it.
So, okay, this guy was a bouncer, apparently a long time ago now. Many number of years have passed since this incident took place, and he is now being arrested for the murder of this person when he was a bouncer and the person was a guest at the nightclub that he was bouncing at. Mexican growth hormones do wonders. Allegedly.
So he must have caused some serious damage in the nightclub to this person that was allegedly murdered. So it says the Central Bureau of Investigation of the police has detained Andrzej K. alias Kościel in Poznan. This is connected with the unexplained death of a young Armenian in the Blue Note nightclub in Poznan in November 2002. The information about the arrest of 55-year-old Andrzej K., formerly a bouncer in Poznan discos and a decorated wrestler, now a well-known mixed martial arts trainer, was confirmed by several sources.
All right, so this happened in Poznan. Let's just real quick look up where that is. Yeah, that is in Poland. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that this is all taking place in Poland. I assumed that because Tybura is Polish and so is Oleszejczuk, but just wanted to make sure that we got the facts straight on that one. So this guy is a bouncer. This happened in November of 2022. So yeah, many years have passed since this incident took place. But this Andrzej Kościelski is a bouncer in 2022 and apparently is being accused of murder in this case here.
Our findings indicate that on Monday, October 14, officers of the Central Bureau of Investigation arrested him at his home in Poznan. The arrest order was issued by the Lesser Poland branch of the National Prosecutor's Office.
Pretty bold of him to stay in Poznan if he was involved in a murder there. So that's kind of wild. Something to add to all of this. He has this incident in 2022 and stayed in the city for essentially his entire rest of his life as an MMA trainer. Kind of nuts.
Now, it goes on to say our sources claim that the police overpowered Kościel by throwing stun grenades at him. The man sustained injuries in the explosion. He was taken to hospital where doctors stitched up his leg wound. So the police came...
Good Lord. They had They busted in, fucking raided this guy. Stun grenades. Holy shit, some Call of Duty shit.
And they arrested him, and whatever he did must have been serious because they threw stun grenades at him and they wanted to do some serious damage to this guy. So just to clarify, he is the coach of Marcin Tybura. He's also coach to Mikhail Olechechek.
Yep, there you go.
Jan Blachowicz.
Oh, Jan Blachowicz
Former
too.
UFC fighter Mahmoud Muradov. Here's a picture of him with Joanna Jędrzejczyk on Fight Island a couple of years ago. He was a coach to her for many years as well. Here he is with Lucia Pudilova, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Here he is training Marcin Tybura recently at the UFC PI. Here he is with former Bellator champion Yaroslav Amosov. So this guy is a very famous coach. He's very well respected, but whatever he did, he must have done some serious damage. And if you look at pictures of this guy, for his age, 55 years old, this guy is in incredible shape. So you can imagine how good shape he is in now. The damage that he would have done 22 years ago as a fighter, as a wrestler. Now,
so yeah, shout out again to MMA Focus for this very good coverage, showing all of those pictures of him with all of those fighters, obviously connected in this world. You know, I can't speculate on his physique or his power or any of that kind of stuff back when this alleged incident took place, but I think that MMA Focus is making a very solid argument for what could have happened, and the police obviously thought that there was enough smoke to warrant there potentially being a fire in this case.
I just want to look at a wrestling match that features Andrzej Kościelski around 13 years ago. And this is him in a blue leotard here. And something nasty happens in this match. And I just want to show you this video and then speak about it in a second.
All right.
40 sekund.
Sur le tapis, vous assistez à
30 sekund. 30 sekund.
Popraw ten uchwyt, ręka głowa, popraw.
Ściągaj. 20 sekund.
Yeah, he'll be okay in prison. Yeah, I would say so.
Spokojnie,
Okay.
spokojnie.
So, that goes for a single leg. Going for the stretch. Okay.
And as you can see there, Andrzej Kościelski sustained a pretty bad injury. His opponent got him in some sort of knee bar that completely blew out his knee. This was a serious injury that pretty much was the end of his wrestling career. And this is why he decided to go into coaching and started coaching UFC fighters and other fighters as well.
Okay, so that's an interesting thing to add. Yeah, the knee stretch didn't look as bad in the moment to me. I thought he was kind of going for like a modified stretch there. I didn't realize that it hyperextended as badly. But so, all right, another thing to add here, that this is the inciting incident that led him into coaching. So he himself, I guess, could have been a pretty formidable fighter. Would have been interesting to see how this all would have played out had he not been injured. I don't know when this was in relation to the incident that took place, but if the incident was in 2002, as the article had said, I believe, right? And this was 13 years ago, so that's farther down. So perhaps he was already past the initial incident that led to the arrest. I don't know, just an interesting point to add here, because had this injury not happened and the incident did take place as it did, the circumstances could have been very different surrounding his treatment and how the arrest was handled and all of the other elements that go into this case. So just an interesting thing to add.
But this story is absolutely crazy, considering he is a famous coach, and, you know, as I say, he's a coach to Marcin Tybura, Mikhail Olechechek, and a lot of other famous UFC fighters as well. He's had a good relationship with Joanna Jędrzejczyk for many years, and obviously, and he is the head coach of a very successful heavyweight, Marcin Tybura. It's crazy to see this man, that this guy is just in the background. And 22 years ago, he potentially took someone's life and nobody even knew about it. Now, just giving my opinion, if, you know, about the whole situation, if you look at this guy and you look at that look in his eyes and what he's capable of, I definitely think he is guilty and he has done it. I could be wrong, but just looking at him, he just looks like a nasty piece of work. He looks very dangerous.
All right. I mean, that's a little bit of wild speculation there. I mean, yeah, he's intentionally looking tough for the camera. I don't think that you can glean that information just based on his facial expressions, but regardless, he does look like a very imposing figure and not somebody that you want to fuck with. So there's that.
And he looks very capable of doing damage. And he is obviously a fighter, a wrestler. And he's been a fighter his entire life. But who knows, man? But give me your thoughts on the situation. Do you think he is guilty or not? Look into this man's eyes and tell me, do you think he's guilty? Do you think he's innocent? What are your thoughts on the situation? Let me know, guys. So I'm just going to wrap this up with some training footage of Andrzej Kościelski training Marcin Tybura at the UFC Performance Institute in Las Vegas. But give me your thoughts on the situation, guys.
All right. So he asked for my thoughts on the situation. I will give my thoughts on the situation. Obviously, if the police made an arrest this far in the future from when the incident took place, there has to be some credible lead that they are working off of to lead them to this conclusion. There could be other factors. I mean, I don't know what the legal system is like in Poland. Obviously, we just went over how there might be a little bit of a lack of justice being served in Ireland. So every country is going to be different. Here in the United States, things can be pretty fucked up in the legal system, as I'm sure you're aware. So I don't think that them necessarily arresting this person is proof of guilt. I don't think that his demeanor or physique is proof of guilt either. I would tend to think that there is something that they had to be able to go on in some capacity to make an arrest stick if their legal system is anywhere near what we have here in the United States. But that could also be incorrect. So my thoughts on this are that it is very inconclusive, and I think that the prosecutors are going to have a very hard time making a legitimate case unless there is some hard, perhaps DNA evidence or something along those lines. But either way, when 22 years have passed, it is a very difficult thing to make a conviction stick when it comes to a case like this. Arresting someone is definitely not proof of guilt. Absolutely, it's not. And more to my point, the fact that it is so far after the fact can be looked at both ways. I mean, is this somebody who perhaps has a vendetta against him with connections to the law enforcement? I don't like this guy. I want him arrested. I know somebody in the police department. He makes that happen. Video proof, that would certainly be a smoking gun. Yeah, video is king when it comes to these types of things. But I think that this is very, very murky at the moment based on the limited information that we have. And as I said at the start of this segment, the information is extremely limited. This is the literal only video that I have been able to find on this subject based on the short amount of research that I did about it. But as far as news articles go in English, I don't think anybody in MMA media is covering it. So, hard to say. But, yeah, I mean, I think that it was a little bit of an overstep on MMA. I think it was a little bit of an overstep on MMA Focus's part to just go out on a limb and say, yeah, this guy looks guilty because he's got a tough-looking face. So, my thoughts on it are, if he did commit a legitimate murder, A, what were the circumstances surrounding it? Was it just a guy who, was getting lippy with him and he went overboard in bouncing this guy? Was it a guy who had a weapon? Was it a guy who was threatening other people? There are many, many, many other questions that need to be answered before any assessment of this can be made. So I will withhold my judgment as far as that goes. I can't really make a ruling on this one way or another as to how I think about it, because there's not enough information to go off of to make a valid assessment, in my opinion. Unless he confessed to it, I think he will be released. I mean, either that, or unless they have some piece of evidence that is extremely damning. You know, again, I think that you're exactly right to think either video proof or what I said, DNA evidence, which would be kind of hard all this time later to prove as well. Obviously, DNA technology continues to evolve and become better over time. Plenty of criminals have been brought to justice years later via DNA evidence, so there's nothing to say that that can't happen in this case. But until we have answers to these questions, I can't make an accurate assessment of it. Either way, it is rather wild that a high-level coach such as this person is in the situation that he is in. So, newsworthy, to be sure. This is certainly a newsworthy article that I don't think a lot of people have covered. Certainly a newsworthy case that I don't think a lot of people have covered. But let's see this remaining footage here, and then we'll wrap this up.
Już Michał, lewka. Jasne, dobrze. Świetne to było, bardzo.
I mean, I don't think this really is showing anything. Just training at the PI. Is that all this is? All right. I think this is kind of just padding the runtime a little bit, but so anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll leave it there. That is the story as it stands currently. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, to recap everything from tonight, aside from the very unfortunate and annoying connection issues that we had, we went over the Rose Namajunas allegations, we went over the Conor McGregor allegations, and we went over the allegations against the coach of Marcin Tybura, Andrzej Kościelski. A lot of dark stuff in the underbelly of MMA. Rumors are that DP is jumping in 10 days notice to fight Olives. Do you think this will happen? I believe that the circumstances around the Oliveira Chandler reporting were proven to be false. As far as I know, I think that fight is actually still on. So, yeah, I don't think that Dustin is going to be jumping in to take over that fight. Based on what I had seen recently, I don't know if that's also changed, but from what I have heard, the rumors about that fight being off between Chandler and Oliveira is unsubstantiated and false. So I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. But actually, real quick before we wrap up, let's double check that. Yeah, this is what I had heard 10 hours ago. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler at UFC 309, not in jeopardy. Despite rumors that the rematch between these two was in danger of being canceled, it sounds like fans won't have anything to be worried about. So, there you go. See what Ariel says, and then we'll call it on this stream.
The state of the Michael Chandler-Charles Oliveira fight, which is happening supposedly next weekend here in New York City at Madison Square Garden. Woke up to a couple of tweets saying that the fight was in jeopardy. Then saw a tweet from Renato Moicano saying, like, put me in, coach.
Yeah, I saw that too, actually. I thought that was pretty funny that Moicano was trying to get in there. Just fucking elbow his way into a big fight for himself, which I liked, I mean, Moicano is the man for that, so Moicano is a fucking nut job, but he's a tough motherfucker.
Then saw a tweet from Charles Oliveira with the thinking emoji, quote tweeting one of the tweets saying that the fight was in jeopardy. Then saw a Dustin Poirier tweet saying, "I'm in." Based on the conversations that I've had, the fight is not in jeopardy. I don't know if there's smoke to the fire right now. I reached out to Chandler's team and was told news to them. Reached out to a couple people and they said news to them. Now, typically when something like this happens, there does seem to be smoke to the fire, unless it's one of the crazy, fake, Twitter things. But as of right this moment, I have not heard that the fight is off.
All right, so there you go. I mean, until something solid comes out, I don't think there's anything to worry about just yet. Certainly not as much as people like myself who are going to be going to UFC Tampa have to worry about, considering that card seems to be falling apart at the seams every time that I open my phone. Something new is changing on that card, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, to wrap up tonight's deal here, again, the situation with Rose Namajunas, the situation with Conor McGregor in the high court, and the allegations against the coach of Marcin Tybura and Mikhail Oleszejczyk, Kościelski, Andrzej Kościelski. So that's what I got for you tonight, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out. Again, I apologize about the connection issues. And we'll see if I can even edit any of this stuff based on the fact that things were giving me such problems. I know that we had some dropped frames in there even before the connection issues. So I'll try to get a video version of all of this together if it's possible. Either way, I appreciate you very much. Beeb, thank you so much. Victrola MMA, thank you so much. And Anakin MMA, thank you guys very much for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. Hopefully the connection will stay solid throughout the remainder of our time with Restream, but this will be coming to an end very soon, I promise. So, all right. Have a great night, everybody. I will catch you in the next one. We will be back on Saturday for the UFC event, myself and Vitz King most likely. And Monday nights is the podcast myself and Chase Parton do on this channel called Last Week's Fights. Check Twitter and Instagram for start times on that, at Yama Show everywhere. So make sure you're following on those platforms. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your night. And as always, fight on.
Change.